Hello everybody. So today we are going to continue our Let's Talk About It, and today we are going to be discussing woke and the justice system. In other words, how the new woke phenomena is influencing the justice system all over the world. Okay, so before we go on to how we may think that the new wokeness is affecting the justice system, let's just have a look at what the word actually means. And the best and the best description of the word woke could be found in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And if you look into the history of the word, it actually originates from the African American population who used the word woke as the past tense of being awake. However, I think the Guardian, in an article that appeared in January, probably says it best. And I'm going to read from this article. Like politically correct before it, the word woke has come to connote the opposite of what it means. Technically, going to the Merriam-Webster dictionary's definition, woke means aware of and actively attentive to important facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social injustice. But today we are more likely to see it being used as a stick with which to beat people who aspire to such values, often wielded by those who don't recognize how unwoke they are or are proud of the fact. And then the article goes on to describe Meghan and Harry as the oppressive king and queen of wokeness. Now, to get to the justice system and my thoughts on the woke influence on the justice system, some of you may or may not know that I am virtually addicted to true crime stories, and I often watch those on YouTube. As I've explained before, I work from home, and these videos keep me company, so to speak. Anyway, so early this year I started to follow an unfolding story on YouTube, and it concerned a woman by the name of Lori Vallow, or Lori Vallow Daybell. Now, I'm not going to go into the case. There are many other YouTubers who actually go into this case in depth, and one I can specifically recommend would be It's a Crime, and the lady's name is Linda. So if you want to know more about the case, then go watch Linda on It's a Crime. Anyway, basically what it's all about is that this woman, Lori Vallow's children disappeared. Eventually a wellness check was done and the children weren't found. She was then given a date in which to appear in court and to present her children, which she didn't do, and in the meantime she absconded to Hawaii. To cut a long story short, the children's bodies were eventually found in her new husband Chad Daybell's backyard, apparently gruesomely murdered, and the one child even possibly being dismembered. Now, when it comes to the wokeness, I want to say the following, and this is my opinion, and I do believe that many of you will differ from what I'm thinking. Now, these children disappeared in September. The wellness checks were done in November, and the lady was traced to Hawaii in January. She was subsequently, a couple of months later, I think in March, arrested, and she has been in jail ever since, and all this time refusing to say where her children were. And now in June, I think June the 10th, if I'm correct, the children's bodies were found in her new husband's backyard, like I said. Now, I'm fully aware I have a sister who's an attorney, and I have a stepdaughter who is an ex-journalist. I myself had started to study law, gave it up after a year, etc., etc. So I'm not exactly a dumb nut, but I'm no expert. Now, my question comes, how can this woman be allowed to keep the whereabouts of her children secret for nearly 9 months, 3 of which she spent in jail? Now, I know the law states that prisoners can't be forced to talk. We cannot put their head in a vice anymore, or pull fingernails, or whatever the case may be. And why not? Because the actual criminal now has rights. And I'm not saying that this is wrong, because nobody is guilty until proven so by a court of law. And that too I agree with. However, when are we going to start becoming more concerned about the rights of the victims? As this case progresses, we now learn that the new husband was arrested on basic charges of tampering with evidence. And that's basically what it comes down to. That's not what the full charge entails. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read it out to you. But it basically comes down to tampering with evidence, etc., etc. Now, if one continues to listen to YouTube videos, you will hear on many of these videos how people are actually looking for ways that this man could not have been involved. Now, if you do yourself a favor and you actually look into the case, you will see that on a number of occasions he's told family members that his new wife is an empty nester. His children told people that their father only met this woman in Hawaii, whereas in actual fact they had an affair for nearly 2 years. So it is obvious to everyone with just a little bit of common sense that this man was well aware of the fact that his new wife had minor children. Yet he continued to lie and tell people that she did not have minor children. Also, when the police started to look into this case, he actually phoned up a friend and told her not to answer her phone when the police calls. He was also aware that his new wife phoned the same friend and asked her to lie and say that the kids were with her, which she didn't do, thank God. Never mind, it carries on and on and on until eventually these children were found in his backyard. And then I hear people say that perhaps he wasn't aware that they were in his backyard. Perhaps he wasn't aware that they had passed. Perhaps he had been lied to. However, looking at his cell phone records, he was actually at home when at least one of these children were buried in his backyard. And the other person, the brother of Miss Vallow Daybell, who most likely did the gruesome deed, spent more than 2.5 hours on his property during the time this child was buried there. So how could he not know? he also tells neighbors and his wife that he shot a raccoon that day. How coincidental. However, and this is where it comes to my woke analogy, why are people so woke, so politically correct, that they feel the need to protect the criminal? Like I said, I'm not saying go pull his fingernails. What I am saying is stop protecting the criminal. When are we ever going to start protecting the victims' rights? And the louder I speak, the louder my birds chirp. But the wind's blowing outside today, so I can't put them out. Okay, so that is one example where our politically correctness or wokeness is now basically influencing the justice system as far as I'm concerned. There are other cases like the Epstein Prince Andrew case where we find the exact same thing. We are now aware, if you listen to the news regularly, read newspapers and watch YouTube videos, that Epstein was not just abusing minor children, but he was also involved in the actual trafficking of minors. And now Prince Andrew of the United Kingdom has been drawn into this case because of his friendship with Epstein. And once again, we live in this woke society where this man is allowed to sit in his palace or his home with protection paid for by the taxpayer and not somehow forced to give testimony. Although I do believe that the FBI has now approached the British justice system and he has been given an option to give testimony in a closed court in the United Kingdom. Alternatively, if he refuses to do so, I believe they will apply for extradition, which I don't think will happen, but that's just my opinion. Somehow our justice system needs to wake up. I'm not saying Andrew is guilty. As a matter of fact, if he was not involved in the child trafficking, but only made use of the product, and I'm saying this because I do not wish to get too descriptive, so I don't mean it in a derogatory term, not at all. But if Andrew was not involved in the trafficking, but he just made use of the product supplied by Epstein, and he did so in Britain, then legally he's not guilty, as the age of consent in Britain is 16. And that is why, in my opinion, he should make use of the offer made to him to give testimony in a closed court in Britain, because in the United States the age of consent is 18 in most states. However, my point is this: whether he's guilty or he's not guilty, why should this man be allowed? Why should he be given privileges? Why should he be given the benefit of the doubt when there are a number of victims and we only know about a few, the few who's actually come forward? What about the many who has not come forward, or the couple who's actually disappeared? What about them? Why can the justice system not force this man to give testimony? It's not up to me to decide how this must be done. As I said, I'm not standing for nail pulling and waterboarding and all those kind of things, but the justice system should step in and be way more strict, in my opinion. and talking about Meghan and Harry as they were mentioned in the Guardian article, that new king and queen of oppressive wokeness. Once again, had they acted the exact same way 20 years ago, throwing shade on the royal family, acting like petulant, spoiled brats, their titles would have been taken from them ages ago. Like Sarah, the Duchess of York's titles and privileges were taken from her when she divorced Andrew. However, in our new woke society, and particularly because Meghan is half black, the royal family is lax in doing so. And why? Because they are afraid of being called racists, and only because Meghan's mother is black. Meghan herself has never, until now, until lately, classified herself as black. However, the royal family is now forced to walk on very thin ice and to appear as to be woke just because Meghan has lately decided to side with her black side. In the meantime, she continues to throw shade on everybody in the royal family. She's doing damage to the royal family, which has been an institution in Britain for thousands of years, who has brought not only money and tourism to the country, but also a feeling of togetherness and loyalty as far as the British citizens are concerned. She is uprooting something which is part of the British history, part of British life, so to speak. And she's being allowed to because of our new woke culture. Now, I do not find this fair. I do believe that as normal citizens, any of us can be victims of crime any day. We are taxpayers, we are mothers, fathers of children who are in danger every day of their lives. I do feel that we have rights too, and we may be woke in our own right, but should the justice system be woke? I would really like to hear your comments on this, and once again I ask you to comment on this video in the comment section. Let's start a debate on this, but let's keep it civil. I am not going to delete comments of people who do not agree with me. I will, however, delete those that are derogatory and those which would act against YouTube's rules, because if I'm thrown off YouTube, I will be unable to come back and discuss any of these issues with you again. So please let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and let's look forward to the next Let's Talk About It. And if you have anything you want to hear my opinion on. So for now and until next time, bye.